I'll hit the record button. Again, I have no idea what that means. Where it goes, I don't think we have any idea where any of these videos are that we're recording, but one day somebody's going to find this treasure chest. Just things. Wow, this is all good stuff. I don't know who this Robert Hertel guy is, but he had a couple decent things to say. All right, good stuff. So look, we're going to talk about a page of prospecting thoughts to build your production. Some of this stuff is repetitive, things you've heard before, time and time again. There might be one or two things that's like, oh, those are really neat. But what I did with some of these different thoughts is kind of look at it from a different angle, word it a different way to see if there was maybe one or two things that's like, okay, I didn't think about it from that perspective. It's the same thing we've done the last 2 weeks with mindset. I did this whole thing for yesterday and then last week as well of just a page of thoughts of mindset, just different ways of looking at some of this stuff. So some of these will be brand new thoughts. Some of these will be different ways of hearing it. Some of it will just be repetitive and you'll just disregard that point. That's just part of the way it goes. But hopefully there's something in here that's a good checkpoint for you to move forward. So we won't probably get through all of it today. So this might be a 2-part series as well. But let's jump into this. A page of prospecting thoughts on building production. So, and then last note here, just like all the other things we talk about, there's nothing in particular order of importance, just the way they're written down. Okay, number one, I wrote down here, all sales positions start and end with talking to people. All sales positions start and end with talking to people. So I wrote that down as number one because it's just the ultimate reminder that we are in the talk to people business. But Robert, it's 2021 and there's all these great technology things out there and all this, ways of communicating with people without talking to them. I wrote down here, I don't care if it's 2021, 1921, 1821, or the year 21. Sales is a talk to people business. Just is. Okay. Give me 10 people who have no idea, have no sales experience whatsoever, don't know anything. Give me 10 people, okay? And I'll put 5 of them in the talk to people to production and 5 of them in non-talk to people activities. And I guarantee you, I would stake every dollar I have on the fact that the 5 that are in the talk to the people portion will drastically outperform the 5 that are in the non-talk to people activities. Guaranteed, even in the year 2021. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't tools technology-wise to help you and facilitate what you're doing, but it's just a great reminder of number one, all sales positions start and end with talking to people, okay? We've talked about this before. Zillow, right? This ultimate technology company, Zillow. How does Zillow get real estate agents to sign up? They call them. They call them on the phone. Hey, this is Zillow. Would you like to sign up for our services? Happens all the time. Good stuff. All right, number 2, I wrote down, if you feel you can't learn or don't want to learn to talk to people, this is Mike Ferry 101. If you feel you can't learn or don't want to learn to talk to people, which is what selling real estate is, go get a job in a cemetery or a library where conversations are limited. That's Mike Ferry 101. If you feel you can't learn or don't want to learn to talk to people, which is what selling real estate is, go get a job in a cemetery or library where conversations are limited. I don't like talking to people. This is not your career path. Not trying to be mean. That's not my goal. But you need to go do something else. Okay. Well, I don't want to learn how to talk to people. I don't like scripts. I'd rather just text, email, post stuff online. That's great. This isn't for you. Go find another profession where talking to people is not part of the job requirement. I wrote down here number 3. We have to do a reality check on ourselves monthly. We have to do a reality check on ourselves monthly. Are we connecting the dots between talking to people and achieving the production and financial goals we've set for ourselves? So you'll notice the first couple of points. We're going to get off to talking to people here in a second. Okay. So for those of you that are annoyed already 3 points in because he keeps talking about talking to people, we're going to get off in a second, I promise. But I have to drive this point home. Okay. But number 3 says, we have to have a reality check. Are we connecting the dots between talking to people and achieving the financial goals we've set for ourselves? I put that down there because there's something called contactitis. And what that means is that, well, I'm talking to people because that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So that's great. You've gotten past points 1 and 2 that, all right, I get it to talk to people business, but now are you doing this and just talking to people just to talk to people because that's what Robert says to do, it's what Neil says to do, that's what Mike says to do, that's what whoever says to do, okay? So you run into this thing called contactitis, where you're just making contacts with no real connection to the contacts and the goals that you're trying to achieve. You have to do a reality check every month to look at, am I connecting the dots between the people I talk to and the goals I'm trying to achieve? That's when you really make the strides. It's not just about making the contacts once you get to that point. It's, well, am I making the quality contacts? Am I making the contacts and then asking the right questions? Am I digging deeper on all the contacts? Am I asking every potential question to get a deal with every contact? Because if I do that, then that's going to help me get a deal, and that's going to help me accomplish the goals that I've set. You've got to really do that type of thing. We do this. Here's a great example. If you are really making contacts every week and you look at your numbers analyzer and you say, gosh, you know what? I'm making 100 contacts a week. Now, some of you might be making more. Most of you are making less. But if you're making 100 contacts every week, and you're not getting any production, you're probably falling into this trap of number 3, where you're just making contacts because that's what you're supposed to do, and you're not connecting the contacts to the goals that you're trying to set. It's a very, very important point. I said that like a cartoon character. Important point, okay, is number 3. So make sure that you're doing that, and we could talk more about that later. All right, I wrote down here number 4. Remember, when you start a new habit of prospecting or you refine your prospecting skills, you will get very little support from your peers. When you start a new habit called prospecting, or you refine your prospecting skills, you'll get very little support from your peers. You will have few friends in the office, and only great salespeople will cheer you on. I wrote down this for number 4 because in our business of real estate, it's an industry that promotes incompetence, just the way it is. Now, at Masters, we do not promote incompetence, okay? If you're learning prospecting, if you're redefining your prospecting skills, we cheer you on. But the problem is our office as a whole is 180 people, and there's 1.3 million real estate agents in the state. So, and 90% of them don't prospect. They think prospecting's stupid. They think scripts are stupid. They think that you're working on your presentation is stupid. That's why most real estate agents are broke. Okay. But you're not going to get the support from the real estate community that you're out there prospecting. You're working on your prospecting skills. So you have to be okay with that. If you're trying to please everybody, then you're not going to be the prospector that you're supposed to be, because most people will tell you that that's stupid. Well, calling on the phone is old school. You really walk up to people's doors and knock on it? Yes. What do? Well, I don't do that. That's why you're broke. That's why your spouse is paying all your bills. Okay. Or if you're in your 20s, that's why you're still living, or 30s. Some of you might be in your 40s. That's why you're still, living off mom and dad's money. So you have to be okay with that. You're not going to get a lot of support from the real estate community when you develop your prospecting skills or start prospecting. You have to be okay. Don't worry about it. Don't let that get to your head, because that will affect your prospecting. Okay. Which is why we also strongly consider, and I don't have to tell you all because you're here, but we strongly consider people to constantly be engaged with the office, whether it's going into the office or hopping on Zoom. All right. All right. I wrote down here the next point. All right. A couple things. I wrote down hard work, discipline, commitment to your goals, versatility, long hours, and accepting rejection are part of the process and are what prospecting is all about. Get used to these 6 words. Hard work, discipline, commitment to your goals, versatility, long hours, and accepting rejection are part of the process and are what prospecting is all about. So now that we've understand what the 6 words of prospecting are all about, thank you all for sticking around, because those aren't necessarily the most magical, uplifting words in the world, are they? Okay, Robert, so tell me about this prospecting thing. Well, hard work, discipline, commitment, versatility, long hours, and accepting rejection. Why the hell would I want to do that? Well, it's a good point. But you have to get used to these 6 words. This is part of prospecting. But I wrote down here under this point, the higher the level of difficulty and the higher the level of the rejection, the higher the level of pay. So yes, it is hard work. It is requiring versatility. It is going to be long hours. It is going to be accepting rejection. But the more you do that, the more you accept that, the higher the pay is. That's why people that make outbound calls typically have a high, if you go into like a company, okay, a lead company, if you make outbound calls, you get a higher percentage commission than those that are in the inbound call department. Okay, because it's harder work. It requires more discipline. It requires more versatility, accepting rejection. It's why when you work in retail, your commission splits are not nearly as high as real estate. Because when you work at Macy's, they're coming to see you to buy a suit. Where here you have to make the calls. So I don't want you to get frustrated with the idea that, wow, long hours, rejection, all these other things. That's why you get paid so much per deal. Okay, because the person at Macy's who has people walking into the store doesn't get paid $15,000 for selling a suit. I don't care what suit it is. So you have to be okay with it. But those are the 6 words as part of the process of prospecting. I wrote down here, there's no easy way to make a lot of money. There's just not. There's just not. But if you have to get in your head that idea, because what happens if you don't, here's what happens if you don't. If you don't accept these 6 words as part of the process with prospecting, then what happens is you try it once, you make 5 contacts, you don't get any deals, and then you say, well, that doesn't work. And we run into that all the time. Well, Robert, I tried it. It didn't work. How many contacts did you make? 5. Okay. Got it. All right. I wrote down here the next point. You can boost your production quickly or add substantially to your production through building your prospecting skills and spending time daily in this activity. You can boost your production quickly or add substantially to your production through building your prospecting skills and spending time daily in this activity. Well, gee, I guess we lost somebody, so they didn't like that point. So I guess we'll just move on to the next one. I'm not going to build my prospecting skills. You have to build your prospecting skills. So what could be prospecting skills? Okay. Prospecting skills is knowing the scripts, knowing what to say and how to say it. Prospecting skills would be knowing who to call. Prospecting skills would be getting the phone numbers to call who you need to call. Oh, see, look, we lost another one. Boy, I tell you, nobody likes this point. Nobody wants to work on their skills. It's funny. People are funny. Prospecting skills would be knowing how to handle objections. Prospecting skills would be the confidence to set an appointment. These are all skills that you can work on in order to increase your confidence in prospecting and make your prospecting more worthwhile. Prospecting skills would be the energy and enthusiasm you bring to a call. Well, energy and enthusiasm doesn't seem like a skill, Robert. It really is, because not everybody is naturally energetic and enthusiastic. So you have to learn it. And if you have to learn it, it is therefore a skill. And some people have to learn to be energetic and enthusiastic. These are skills that you can learn for prospecting to make your prospecting more worthwhile. See, we think prospecting skills is just the scripts. That's not true. The scripts is part of it, but everything else is a learned skill as well. Okay. I wrote down here under number 6, right? I'm building your prospecting skills. If any of you were ever in sports as a kid, or dance, or singing, or any sort of extracurricular activity, you practiced. You may not have known the benefits of practice at that age. Okay. You were 10 years old and you were going to softball practice, baseball practice, soccer practice. You didn't know the reason. You just went to the practice. You went to the practice and you were working and you were getting better and better to go play in the games, things like that. So I wrote down here, why did you practice to win when you were young, but you won't practice now? When you're young, you don't even know it. You don't even know that you're working on your skills. You just want to go see your friends. But that's what made you better. You did it as a kid. You could do it now. Interesting stuff. All right, I wrote down here, there are 5 activities, next point. There are 5 activities that lead to productivity in real estate. There are 5 activities that lead to productivity in real estate. I wrote down here, A, setting a productive schedule. B, lead generation. C, strong lead follow-up. D, pre-qualifying prospects. And E, going on presentations. Setting a productive schedule, lead generating, strong lead follow-up, pre-qualifying prospects, going on presentations. Because you see, this is all part of the prospecting routine. What do you mean? I'm so glad you asked. If you don't have a schedule, a productive schedule, you will not prospect. Why? Prospecting sucks. So you will not volunteer to do it. That's not a shot at you. That's every single one of us, because prospecting is awful for the sake of prospecting. So if you don't have a productive schedule with that in there, you won't do it. So it starts with a schedule. And then you have to have lead generation in the schedule. Lead generation, prospecting, talking to people, things along those lines, whatever you want to call it. That has to be in the schedule. It has to be time blocked in the schedule. Otherwise, again, you won't do it. And then lead follow-up is part of prospecting. Why is it part of prospecting? Because prospecting and then not doing lead follow-up is the biggest waste of time that you can do. I did all this prospecting, I got all these leads, and I did nothing with them. Okay. It's like going speed dating and getting 20 phone numbers and not calling any of these people back. Okay. Like, just doesn't make any sense. Why'd you go speed dating to begin with? No. So lead follow-up is part of prospecting. I wrote down here, if you hear nothing else from me today, and some of you haven't heard anything yet, so you might want to hear this one, okay? If you hear nothing else from me today, lead follow-up should be the first calls you make of the day. Lead follow-up should be the first calls you make of the day. One, that way you don't forget to make your lead follow-up calls. That's part of that. Two, typically your energy and enthusiasm is most high in the morning. So why not call your money makers in the morning when your energy is at its highest? And your leads are your money makers. As Neil says, prospecting is lead generation. Lead follow-up is appointment setting. Well, I have the leads. When I'm at my highest energy, that's when I'm going to call them so I can get the appointments. And the third reason why I want to call my leads in the morning is it allows me time to potentially set appointments for that same day. Because if I do lead follow-up at 1, it's going to be hard for me to set an appointment that afternoon. But if I do lead follow-up at 9, I might be able to get an appointment that afternoon. Call your leads first. Okay. And then pre-qualifying is also part of prospecting. Your prospecting call should include your pre-qualifying. And then going on presentations is the reward for all the prospecting that you're doing. It's all part of the process. But it starts with having that schedule that includes lead generation. All right, I wrote down here next point. I put a star next to this point. All right, I put a star next to the point. It says, set your ego to the side. Set your ego to the side. Address your fears. Eliminate your stories and excuses. And ask yourself this question. So I'm going to read that again. Set your ego to the side. Address your fears. Eliminate your stories and excuses. And ask yourself this question. If I'm not going to be involved in some type of lead generation, how am I going to do X number of deals in the next 12 months? Set your ego aside, address your fears, eliminate your stories and excuses, and ask yourself this question. If I'm not going to be involved in some type of lead generation, how am I going to do X number of deals in the next 12 months? This is a really important point because some of the reasons we don't prospect is ego. Now, here's the really important thing about ego. Ego is not just about, oh, how great I am. Oh, no. Part of ego is I don't want to look foolish. I didn't know that until Mike pointed that out to me years ago because he called me out on it. See, you all think that I hold you accountable and I do things with you. Yeah. You have no idea some of the conversations I've had with Mr. Mark Ferry over the years. This is the same man who pulled me aside one day at an event, and I was a younger man at these days, and I was wearing a red. I was dressed suit, but I was wearing a red. The shirt I was wearing was red. He pulled me aside and he said, "Don't show up tomorrow if you're going to wear a colored shirt like that." Right? Because he doesn't like red, like those types of like red shirts and things like that. It's got to be, lighter colors, things like that. And I love wearing all black. It drives him nuts. Okay. I've had some fun conversations with him. So you all think I hold you accountable and I'm tough on you. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was coachable. I wore a white shirt that very next day. Okay. Actually, there's more to that story, but we'll talk about that another day. But part of its ego is that I don't want to embarrass myself. So I don't want to prospect because I don't want to seem foolish on the phone to the people I'm calling, to the people that might hear me. That's why some of you get in the office, and when you're in the office, you don't want to be heard. So you prospect like this. Hey, this is Robert Ertel, Century 21 Masters. I just listed a home for sale. It's a 3, 2, 1. Because you're like scared that the person next to you is listening to you and judging you. Ego, that's an ego problem. Set your ego aside. Address your fears. What is your fears? Well, what if they hang up on me? So write this down. This is really important. To date, I don't know anyone that has been stabbed through a telephone. Never seen it. Maybe a sci-fi film, but not in real life. Okay. I've never seen a fist come through the phone and punch anybody in the face. Never seen it. So we have these fears of like, oh my gosh, what if they hang up on me? What if this, what if that? Then they hang up on you. There's really no physical harm that can happen when you're prospecting, but we have this fear. Well, what if I upset them? They don't know you. They don't care. They forget about you 5 seconds after they hang up on you in those cases. And the truth is, that's very, very few and far between the people that are like that. We like to joke that people are super mean. They're really not. Ethan sent me, I gave Ethan some homework to record his prospecting calls and send them to me. So he did. He sent me 12 yesterday. God bless him. Of the 12, only one of those 12 hung up on him instantly. Happens all the time. Okay. So address your fears. Eliminate your stories and excuses. Stories and excuses could be, well, I have an accent. Okay. That's an excuse. Well, in this particular neighborhood, they only work with this type of demographic. Okay. That's another story and excuse you tell yourself as to why you can't prospect the neighborhood. Oh, these are $1 million homes. You can't bother these people. Okay. Stories and excuses. So set your ego aside, address your fear, eliminate your stories and excuses, and then ask yourself, okay, great. If I'm going to let my ego get in the way, I'm going to let my fears get in the way, I'm going to let my excuses and stories get in the way, how am I going to do X number of deals in the next 12 months? Very, very important point. Okay, next point I wrote down here. A lack of lead generation will create desperate and negative agents who often do not know how to sell and therefore take overpriced listings at low commissions. I wrote down here in all caps, don't be that agent. A lack of lead generation will create desperate and negative agents who often do not know how to sell and therefore take overpriced listings at low commissions. Don't be that agent. When you don't accept the fact that you need to work on your prospecting skills and prospect, you'll take anything. This is why we have people that are driving 2 hours to go take a deal. What? We have agents driving 2 counties over to go take a deal because and they'll do it and then they go, well, they asked me to cut their commission. You drove 2 counties and took a listing at 1.5%. But when you're desperate and negative, you'll do whatever. But this is what I've been talking about. What's happening in the market right now is there are a lot of agents that are desperate and negative because they haven't done a damn thing in a year and a half. And so they're going to take lower listings. And they're going to offer to paint the person's house, and they're going to offer to pay for staging, and they're going to offer to clean the house, and they're going to offer and offer and offer and offer. And at the end of the day, the agent's going to get 50 bucks. Crazy. It is a crazy, wild business we get into. Don't be that agent. I wrote down here under this point, we are in the for-profit business. Overpriced listings will bankrupt you. And if you don't believe me, I won't do this in a giant class because it doesn't make sense for enough people. But if you don't believe me, I will gladly show you in a one-on-one situation the cost of an overpriced listing. It will bankrupt you. Taking business at low commissions will just not, it's just not going to create enough profit for you to keep working. Here's why. Here's what people don't connect. This goes back to the point we talked about earlier, connecting the dots. If you take low commissions, you think, well, at least I got the deal. So you take a really low commission, you put in all this work, you do the signs, you do blah, 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 all this other stuff, you negotiate the deals, all these other different things. At the end of the day, you pay your split, okay? You pay taxes, you end up with a couple grand. Most people will look at that and go, all that prospecting, all that rejection, all that blah, 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 and all I got was a lousy couple grand. And then you lose that connection to the prospecting, so then you won't do it again because you don't see the value. All because you decided that, well, I just need the deal, so I'll take a low commission. Hey, boy, I tell you, the long-term negative effects of a low commission deal is frightening. Okay, got to look at those types of things. Now, the question always comes up. Well, what if it's, you know, a family member? So, I mean, you can give them a break. You know, you don't want to charge them 2.78 or 3%. Sure. Don't do it for a buck. Right? Because now it's costing you money. Now you're not even doing them a favor. You're costing you money. The only time taking a low commission percentage makes sense is if you're doing like a $10 million listing. Yeah, I got a $10 million listing at 1%. Fine. That's sold. Get the listing. Interesting stuff. All right, I wrote down here, next point. When drama and emotion enter the prospecting picture, production-based activities often come to a complete halt. When drama and emotion enter the prospecting picture, production-based activities often come to a complete halt. Okay. When every deal, when every day becomes dramatic and emotional, you'll stop. You can't make everything dramatic and emotional. Oh, 20 contacts. I didn't get any leads. Oh, this person hung up on me. This. Oh, they want to sell, but it's, I mean, they want this price. I got to leave, but it's a buyer. When everything's dramatic and emotional, you'll stop. You won't do it anymore. Just human nature. So I wrote down here, you can't avoid life's ups and downs. So don't let the drama get to you. It's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. Are you going to set an appointment every day? No. Would you like to? Yeah. But are there days when you're going to set 2 appointments? Yeah. Are there weeks that you're going to make 150 contacts and you're not going to have anything to show for it? Yeah. Yeah. But are there weeks when you're going to make 50 contacts and you're going to have like 6 or 7 really good leads and a couple appointments? Yeah. Are there times when deals fall out of escrow? Are there times when, life happens, viruses happen, politics happen, moratoriums happen? Yeah, interest rates happen. And sometimes it works to our benefit and sometimes it works against us. Some people, recently we're working with some investors who are like, great, July 1st, I'm going to be able to evict my tenants. Let's put the house on the market July 2nd. Got all these leads, boom, 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 boom. They extend the moratorium to September. Now, all of a sudden, I don't have these leads anymore because I can't evict my tenants. No one's going to buy it unless I put it at a massive discount. But if you get, oh my gosh, I had all this and the German, blah, 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 you're going to lose it. And then you're going to stop. Don't worry about it. We'll find new people. Because in every situation that causes a down, there's always another source that comes up with it. Go call those sources. All right, a couple more points here. Remember, real estate is now and always will be a numbers game. Play the game if you want to win. Numbers game, baby. Now, there's a really important point to number 11, okay? Sub point to number 11. And it ties into something we talked about earlier with contact itis. It's a numbers game if you make the contacts meaningful. But it's not a numbers game if you're just getting numbers. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So here's the easiest way maybe I can explain it. I've said this before. Okay, there's a lot of sales cliches that just drive me nuts. Okay. One of them is every no gets me closer to a yes. Because that is a lie. Because you have to add to that. Because every no gets me closer to a yes. If I'm making all the no's meaningful and I'm getting better, then yeah, I'm getting closer to my yes. But if all I'm doing is collecting no's, then no, it's not getting me closer to a yes. It's just getting you closer to another no. You interested in selling your home? No. Okay. Interested in selling your home? No. Okay. Interested in selling your home? No. Okay. I could do that 1,000,000 times. And if I don't get more energy, enthusiasm, and a better script, it's not going to get me any closer to a yes. But if I go, hey, you interested in selling your home? We just sold this home at 123 Main Street, blah, blah, blah. No. Okay, great. Well, hey, who do you know that might be looking to buy or sell? I don't know anyone at this time. Great. Do you know anyone that might be looking to buy? No, I don't know anyone who's looking to buy. Great. Do you mind if I add you to my database, keep you updated of what's going on in the market every couple months? Sure, no problem. If I'm doing that, if I'm making every contact meaningful, then every no gets me closer to a yes, because then it's a numbers game. Okay. So repeating that on the nose is that it's a numbers game, but it's only a numbers game if you're getting better. If you're just collecting no's and not getting any better, you won't get any closer to a yes. You have to make every contact meaningful. Then it becomes a numbers game. Okay. And I know I bum people out sometimes when I crap on these sales cliches because I hate so many of them. And there are people that live off that idea that every no gets me closer to a yes. Yeah, that's possible if you're getting better. Okay. But every contact's got to be meaningful. Then it's a numbers game. But you have to remember it's a numbers game. But I wrote down here last under number 11. Okay. Same thing under number 11. Then we'll get down to number 12. It's a numbers game, but consistency in numbers is better than small, large lumps of numbers. So here's what I mean. When I say it's a numbers game, making 20 contacts a day, 5 days a week is much more powerful than making 100 contacts 1 day a week. So it's a numbers game, but the consistency in the numbers is really what makes it more powerful. The reason I say that, okay, the reason I say that is we've done this. So true story. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we had a number of agents that wanted to do an ultimate prospecting day. And it was, I want to make 100 contacts. The goal was 100 contacts, right? And so we're not very smart. That seems like a wonderful idea. Let's make 100 contacts. So we all meet up in the office. There was probably 15 of us, right? And we get there at 8 o'clock. It was 8 o'clock, 7:30. We're going to do a little role play with each other. 8 o'clock, little rah-rah. Boom, 8 o'clock, we're on the phone. And you couldn't leave the office until you got to 100 contacts, which means you might be there until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. That was the commitment we made to each other. Mind you, none of us had ever made 100 contacts in a day. Not even close, but we did it. So we go to the office and we're sitting there and we're making the contacts, we're making the contacts, we're making the contacts, we're making the contacts. So a couple things happened. Every single person there, by the time they got to 50, was exhausted, which means the last 50 contacts that everybody was making was subpar. So it wasn't 100 quality contacts. It was probably 50. And I'll bet for some of the people, it started even less than 50, maybe after they got to 40, that were powerful contacts. And then the next 50 were not wasted per se, but boy, certainly not the level they needed to be. So you really only ended the day with 50 great contacts. Whereas if you did 20 contacts a day, you end the day with you end the week with 100 great contacts. The other downside of this situation was that making 100 contacts was so exhausting and so time consuming because it took us all day that the next day, nobody went to work. It's exhausted. So 8 o'clock came around to role play. There was nobody like, no, man, I didn't get done prospecting until 8 o'clock last night. My voice is hoarse. I'm frustrated. I'm not, no. So you then miss the next day. So the consistency isn't there. The momentum's not there. So while I do think everyone should do an ultimate prospecting day at least once a month, maybe once a week where you're getting 40, 50, maybe you can push to 60 if you've gotten to 40 or 50 before. But the point is the numbers game, it's the consistency of the numbers that's really the important thing. Here, and I'll leave you with one more example on this, okay? That has nothing to do with prospecting, but just an idea of how you can connect this. I've shared this story before, so some of you have heard this. Years ago, I was at a seminar, and it was a marketing seminar. They had salespeople, real estate people, marketing people, all these other different things. One of the people that was there years ago was the editor of the LA Times. And he was talking about marketing in the LA Times and things like that. And he said, they did all the research, that if you do a 1/8 of a page, black and white ad 3 days a week, you will get a higher return on your investment as compared to a full page color ad 1 day a week. So an 1/8 page black and white 3 days a week was a higher return on investment than a full page color ad 1 day a week because of the consistency of the ad running. It's the same thing with the numbers. The consistency of doing it every day is better than the big lump sum 1 day and saying, oh, I got my prospecting in for the week. So just something to consider. Something to consider. Okay, one more point and then we'll wrap up for the day and then we'll go finish this next week. All right, so I wrote down here, are you working on branding yourself in hopes that the public will recognize and call you? If yes, what is the cost of your branding campaign? Are you doing this to avoid prospecting? So I want to wrap up with this one, okay? Are you working on branding yourself in hopes that the public will recognize and call you? If yes, what is the cost of your branding campaign? Are you doing this to avoid prospecting? So I bring this up because this kind of goes into what I talked about earlier, right? It's a talk to people business, but there's other technology tools that can help you. There's websites, there's social media, there's digital marketing, there's print marketing, there's a variety of different things. All of this stuff can help. So, but the question you have to ask yourself is, are you doing these things in hopes that, oh, I'm going to brand myself so people will see me and they'll call me and I'll get inbound calls? Or are you doing this to avoid prospecting? So you have to really look at your businesses. Are you doing all this stuff to avoid prospecting, or is this all part of the prospecting campaign? I do strongly believe that doing all these things on top of talking to people and prospecting is a really great combination that can help you make a lot of money. But some people look at it in a different way. I'm doing branding campaigns to brand myself, and so that way I don't have to prospect. Well, what's the cost of that? Give you an example, postcards. We have people that send out thousands of postcards every month in order to brand themselves to a community. Okay, that's great. How much is that costing you? If you're spending, let's say a postcard for print, mail, and postage, all that's $1. A postcard might be more, might be less. I don't know. Let's say it's $1 and you're sending out a couple thousand a month. That's a couple $1,000 a month. That's real money. So what's the cost of this, and what's the return if you're not doing anything else on top of it? You're running a lot of online ads. What's the cost of that? Now, you can do online ads, not cost very much money, but you still have to run a profit and loss statement. But if you're sending the postcards to a community and then you're also calling the community or door knocking the community, oh, now I got a lot of touches going on. Now I'm really branding myself in the community. This is why most people suck at farming. I have a farm. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm going to mail them a postcard once a month. That's it? Yeah, okay. Sorry, good luck. I'm sure you're going to get a boatload of business. But if you mail the postcards, and then you call and you door knock, and if there's an open house maybe in the area and they can see your name and your sign, now you're farming. And you do that consistently every month for years, now you can do that, and then you can make a lot of money on your farm. But it's an interesting thing that we do sometimes with branding in 2021 with all the technology, is that sometimes we do all this in hopes to avoid prospecting and get people to call. And it's just not the way it works. You have to do it to supplement on top of the prospecting. Interesting stuff. Very good. All right, so look, we're at 419, 420 now. I got more and more of this type of stuff, so we'll finish this up next week. But look, I know this is not a fun topic, not everything. I try to make things as fun as I possibly can. And I know it's not a fun topic, and sometimes it can be kind of boring and redundant, things like that. But I do think there are some good things in here to help you moving forward with just some of the mindset with prospecting, some of the tips, some of the ways to help going forward with the prospecting that you're doing. So hopefully I didn't bore you too much or drive you too crazy. Some people already left, so they're fine. They've got the prospecting thing figured out, I guess. Good stuff. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We still got the rest of the day. So if you need anything, I'm here. And let's go out there. Let's close the day strong. I'll be here all day tomorrow as well. We got a full day. Friday, rocking and rolling. All right. Good job. Go get them.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here.